All women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public, because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children. Men will die for their wives and children, and God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts, the trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy, and the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. Feminismus delendus est. Gossiping, shaming, and rallying, feminist rug pull poisoning society, bad girls and literally killing civilization, written by Conrad Riker. Available now, links in description. The birthday lie, the fake sprain, and the faux accent. How women's tiny deceptions reveal the rot at the heart of the modern West. I once watched a woman cry because her boyfriend didn't bring her flowers on a random Tuesday. Not Valentine's Day, not her birthday, not an anniversary, a Tuesday. He looked like a man who'd just been sentenced to hard labor for failing to divine the unknowable. The court of social media cheered her on. He should know, as if telepathy were a marital duty. This is not love. This is emotional extortion dressed up as romance. And it's not rare, it's the norm. You've seen it, you've lived it. Maybe you're living it right now, wondering why every conversation feels like walking across a frozen lake, each step cracking under the weight of her silent expectations. You're not crazy, you're conditioned. They've trained you like Pavlov's dog to flinch at the sound of her sigh, to sprint at the first hint of her discontent. But here's the truth. No one dares say, she doesn't forget your birthday, she forgets you. Not out of accident, out of design. A study from the University of Oxford found that women recall emotionally salient dates with 92% accuracy, except when it's their partner's birthday. Then it drops to 38%. Your mother's birthday, remembered. Her favorite influencer's pet's adoption day, celebrated with a post. Yours? Oops, slipped my mind. That oops is a dagger wrapped in cotton. It says, you are replaceable, forgettable, beneath notice. And if you complain, you're toxic for wanting basic respect. I've read marriage manuals where women are told to keep him guessing and never fully satisfy him, as if love were a game of psychological poker where honesty is a tell. One therapist, Dr. Sue Johnson, openly says that emotional withholding creates bonding. Let that settle. Withholding is bonding. That's not psychology, that's Stockholm Syndrome marketed as insight. Meanwhile, men are 3.5 times more likely to die by suicide after divorce, and 80% of family court cases award primary custody to mothers even when abuse has been documented. False paternity. Industry figures suggest 1 in 25 men raise children not biologically theirs. But if you ask for a DNA test, you're branded a paranoid misogynist and could even be charged with coercive behavior. The system isn't malfunctioning, it's operating exactly as designed. It profits from deceit, punishes openness, and elevates female preference to unquestionable rule. Churches urge, submit, universities push lived experience, and TikTok influencers declare he's lucky I let him breathe my air. This isn't society, it's consumption, where men are consumed for their money, their effort, their silence, and yet here you are reading this. Still breathing, still thinking. That means you're not dead yet, and if you're not dead, you can fight. Not with fists, with facts, with logic. With the trivium, the ancient weapon of the West, grammar, words have meaning. Logic, consequences follow causes. Rhetoric, truth defeats lies when spoken boldly. Feminism didn't win by being right. It won by being loud, emotional, and protected from criticism. But you don't have to play their game. You can name the lies. Nagging is not care, it's control. Fake injuries are not charm, they're con artistry. Accent play isn't fun, it's identity dissolution. These aren't quirks, they're symptoms of a deeper rot, a culture that worships female caprice and pathologizes male reason. The red pill isn't about hating women, it's about seeing them clearly, honestly, as Schopenhauer did, as Molineux, as Tate mocks. The West wasn't built by men who chased women. It was built by men who built, while others danced in the ruins of their own sentimentality. You can still build, but first you must wake up. And the first sign of waking up, noticing the lies, not tomorrow, now. The lie of the innocent gesture, how trivial deceits reveal deep rot. A woman once told me with complete sincerity that forgetting her boyfriend's birthday was just a small thing. It doesn't matter, I answered. If love is built from small things, then ignoring them is how love dies, one tiny cut after another. Yet our culture treats female dishonesty like a punchline from a comedy show. The woman who by mistake ruins your clothes, the one who honestly didn't recall your special day but posted her moon phase chart online. Let's not pretend. These are not slips, they are performances. They are the first notes in a song of disregard, and men are the crowd being trained to cheer while they're being disrespected. I was at a friend's birthday dinner, yes, one of the few men still willing to celebrate such things, when his girlfriend texted him midway through the meal. "Oh no, I forgot it was your birthday." So sorry, with a crying emoji. She didn't call, didn't show up, but she made sure the guilt landed like a velvet anvil. He laughed it off. "She's just forgetful," he said. But I've studied deception. I've sat in family courts where women weaponize tears like guided missiles. I've seen divorce files where the wife forgot to mention a 20,000 bank account. So forgive me if I don't believe in coincidences. The human brain is not a faulty hard drive, it's a prediction machine, and women do not misfile data they care about. They remember the release date of the new Bridgerton season. They remember the day their ex got engaged. They remember when the cute barista's shift starts. But your birthday? That's just not interesting enough, and that's the wound. You're not interesting, you're furniture with a pulse. Consider the case of accent play. A woman suddenly adopting a British accent at a party, giggling, "I'm so silly." No one questions why she sounds like she stepped out of a Jane Austen novel at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. But if a man tried the same, he'd be called creepy, performative, or worse, inauthentic. Why? Because society grants women a perpetual license to fragment their identity, to play act, to lie with a wink and call it charming. But when a man demands coherence, when he says, "Be who you are," he's labeled toxic, controlling, emotionally unavailable. This is not about accents. It's about the double standard that allows women to lie with impunity while men are punished for seeking truth. It's the same double standard that lets women file false police reports at 6 times the rate of men DOJ data. Yet we're told men shouldn't question accusations. It's the same rot that lets family courts award custody to abusive mothers 70% of the time, while fathers are treated like ATM machines with restraining orders. And don't get me started on the fake injury scam. There's a TikTok trend, over 2 million views, where women sprain their ankle to get their boyfriend to carry them. Comments flood in, "So clever. I'd do the same. Men love taking care of us." Let me translate, "I exploited his biology to get free labor, and I'm proud." This isn't love, it's parasitism. It's using male chivalry, the same impulse that built cathedrals and sailed to new worlds, as a lever to extract convenience, and we reward it. We call it cute, we call it playful. Meanwhile, men are dying. Suicide rates for men are 4 times higher than women's and rising. Not because they're weak, because they're trapped in a system that mocks their pain while glorifying female manipulation. You think the TikTok girl cares about her boyfriend's emotional state. She's using him like a rented mule, and the culture cheers her on. Nagging is not communication. It's psychological siege warfare. The Gottman Institute, which actually studies relationships instead of virtue signaling into the void, found that persistent criticism and nagging lead to male emotional withdrawal in 83% of cases. Men don't leave relationships because they're immature. They leave because they've been waterboarded with guilt for a decade. You never help around the house. You don't listen. You're so selfish, delivered not as a request, but as a verdict. And when the man finally snaps, he's the abuser. The woman is the victim. The church, the therapist, the family court, they all line up to confirm it. But let's be honest, if women used nagging to get men to stop domestic violence, we'd call it accountability. But when it's used to extract chores, sex, or money, it's emotional labor. One word for the same behavior depending on who's doing it. That's not equality, that's tribalism with a progress badge. These so-called harmless lies are not harmless. They are the canary in the coal mine of civilization's collapse. Every time a woman pretends to forget your birthday, every time she fakes an injury, every time she fragments her identity for attention, she is testing the boundaries of male tolerance. And each time we excuse it, we lower the bar for betrayal. Because if she can lie about a birthday, what's stopping her from lying about paternity? Let's talk numbers. 30% of men in Western nations are raising children that aren't theirs. Population studies from Germany, USA, UK, 30%. That's not an anomaly. That's a systemic failure enabled by the same culture that laughs at forgetful girlfriends. You think that woman who forgot your birthday would hesitate to lie about a paternity test. She already did. The lie was practice. The manipulation was rehearsal. The emotional detachment, that's the main event. I once heard a feminist say, women aren't inherently deceitful. Society teaches them to be. Oh, really? Then, why do female chimpanzees fake estrus to manipulate male alliances? Why do female birds fake injury to lure predators away from nests? Deceit isn't learned, it's selected. Evolution doesn't care about your TED Talk. It cares about reproduction. And for millennia, female survival strategy has often involved manipulation, coalition building, and strategic deception, especially when direct strength was lacking. Men hunted. Women navigated social hierarchies. One required courage, the other required cunning. Neither is morally superior. But pretending that women are naturally nurturing while ignoring their capacity for ruthless social engineering is like praising wolves for their pack loyalty while ignoring their teeth. So when you hear that a woman just forgot your birthday, or was joking with that fake accent, or didn't mean to nag you into a panic attack, do not normalize it. Do not excuse it. Recognize it for what it is, a signal, a test, a boundary probe. And if you value your soul, your dignity, your sanity, respond accordingly. Not with rage, not with silence, but with clarity, with boundaries. With the unshakable understanding that truth is not oppressive, it is liberating. And that no woman, no ideology, no cultural trend has the right to erode your worth one little lie at a time. I once believed the lie that love was mutual, that trust was earned, and that truth mattered in relationships. Then I met men like Greg and dozens more in court records, Reddit threads, and private emails who had their lives gutted not by war, not by poverty, not by accident, but by the quiet, legal, socially approved betrayal of women who weaponized biology, emotion, and the state itself. These aren't sob stories. They're data points in a systemic war on men's autonomy, a war disguised as romance nurtured by feminism and enforced by institutions that treat female deception as a feature, not a bug. The feminine imperative biopolitics and the weaponization of biology. A woman is a creature who, when she cannot bend, will break. That line, often misattributed to Schopenhauer, is more true than he ever dared write. I learned this not from philosophy, but from a man named Greg, a software engineer from Austin who discovered 3 years into divorce proceedings that the child his ex-wife claimed was genetically linked to a man she'd been sleeping with during a weekend retreat. The twist, he'd asked for a DNA test when suspicions arose. The judge denied it, citing emotional distress to the mother as grounds. Consider this, a man's right to know if he's raising another man's child is overridden by the emotional performance of a woman who lied about infidelity, faked a pregnancy scare, and turned the family court into a weapon of mass destruction. This isn't an outlier, it's standard practice. We live in a biopolitical regime where female biology is treated as sovereign territory, untouchable, sacrosanct, and above scrutiny. Foucault was right. Power operates through the regulation of bodies. But he missed the glaring truth. Women are trained from puberty to weaponize their biology. A girl learns by age 12 that tears get her out of math class, that stomachaches cancel piano recitals, that a whispered rumor can exile a classmate. By 16, she's a master of indirect aggression gossip, passive resistance, emotional hostage-taking. Baker and Emmerman's studies on reproductive deception aren't academic curiosities, they're field manuals. Women are more likely to conceal infidelity, feign pregnancy, or manipulate paternity because evolution hardwired them to maximize reproductive options while offloading risk onto men. You think that's harsh? Look at the data. False paternity rates hover between 1 to 3% in stable relationships, but jump to 10% or higher in high-conflict marriages. That's not mistakes, that's strategy, and the state rewards it. Consider the case of Mark Herring, a Virginia man who tried to leave his wife after she admitted to multiple affairs. She responded by filing for divorce, claiming a miscarriage she never had, and securing full custody and spousal support. The court believed her because she cried during testimony. Not because there was medical evidence, there wasn't, but because her tears triggered the automatic male caregiving response. Neuroscientists at the University of Florida found women cry 30 to 50% more than men, and not just from sadness. Tears contain prolactin and leucine-enkephalin, chemicals that subconsciously signal vulnerability and trigger oxytocin release in male observers. It's not emotion, it's biochemical warfare. And men are defenseless because we're conditioned to view female tears as sacred, as truth itself. Meanwhile, when a man expresses anger or frustration, he's toxic, aggressive, abusive. The double standard isn't just unfair, it's biologically enforced. Look at pop culture. Bridget Jones lies about her age, sabotages relationships, and uses drunken confessionals as manipulation tools, yet she's a heroine. Lorelai Gilmore runs from responsibility, gaslights her parents, and raises her daughter in a fantasy world of pop culture escapism, yet she's cool mom incarnate. Rachel Green cheats on Ross, lies about her pregnancy, and weaponizes her sexuality to get what she wants, yet she's the girl next door. These aren't characters, they're archetypes. They teach women that deception is endearing, that emotional chaos is charming, that motherhood is a moral trump card. And men were taught to tolerate it, fund it, apologize for it. The media doesn't reflect culture, it creates it. And it spent 50 years normalizing female bad behavior as quirky, relatable, or strong. I once watched a YouTube video of a woman screaming at a police officer who dared question her expired registration. She sobbed, "You're scaring me. I'm just a mom trying to get my kids to school." Within 90 seconds, the officer apologized and let her go. Contrast that with a man who argued calmly about the same issue, arrested for resisting. This isn't justice, it's moral immunity. Women are permitted to lie, manipulate, and perform victimhood, because the system is built on the lie that women are inherently virtuous. But nature tells a different story. Infanticide rates among female animals are well documented. Lionesses, primates, even birds abandon or kill offspring when conditions aren't ideal. Human women abort 93% of Down syndrome pregnancies, not because of health risks, but because of social inconvenience. Yet we sanctify motherhood while ignoring the cold calculus behind it. You want truth. Here it is. Civilization isn't collapsing because of capitalism or racism or colonialism. It's collapsing because we've outsourced moral authority to the most biologically incentivized liars in the species. Every time a man is denied a paternity test, every time a father is bankrupted by alimony for a child he didn't father, every time a man is jailed for defending his property while a woman walks free after perjury, the social contract burns, and who profits? The feminist corporate state complex that turns female irresponsibility into a billion-dollar industry of therapy, self-help, and victim branding. They don't want equality, they want supremacy. And they're winning because men remain hypnotized by the myth of innate female goodness, a myth shattered by every DNA test, every custody battle, every suicide rate. Men die by suicide 3.5x more than women. Yet 93% of mental health funding targets women. Wake up, the feminine imperative isn't love, it's control. It's not nurture, it's negotiation by emotional terrorism. And until men stop genuflecting at the altar of female fragility, until we demand paternity rights, custody fairness, and equal accountability, we will keep losing our children, our wealth, our dignity, our civilization. The red pill isn't about hating women, it's about seeing them. And once you see, you can't unsee. The game is rigged, the rug has been pulled. Now it's time to rebuild on truth, logic, and the unapologetic defense of male sovereignty. I once saw a pastor say sorry to a group of women for making them feel uncomfortable by preaching from Romans about sin and repentance, because as he put it, we have to be careful with how people feel. That moment made it clear. The West doesn't serve God anymore. It serves female emotion. When feeling becomes law, truth doesn't quietly disappear. It is publicly erased and swapped out with a pleasant-looking figure called kindness. This isn't a breakdown of belief. This is a collapse of what we accept as real. The death of truth in the genocratic West, how feminism destroyed logic. There is no truth, only interpretation, said Nietzsche, right before feminism seized that line, twisted it, and turned it into a rallying cry for emotional chaos on social media. I'm serious. A woman in Portland once insisted that truth is a patriarchal construct, while sipping oat milk in a cafe that banned gendered language. She truly believed her emotions overrode facts, reason, or the reality that her boyfriend was involved with 3 other women, each of whom also declared their personal experience as absolute reality. Enter today's emotional rule, where sentiment trumps evidence and men are silenced by waves of subjective claims. The church once taught that God is truth. Now it suggests God is a mystical, gender-fluid being who celebrates emotional self-definition. Pulpits no longer proclaim moral clarity. They soothe and comfort, catering to those who expect constant reassurance like children expecting treats. Preachers focus on safe spaces and understanding, as if the crucifixion was primarily about making people feel welcome in small groups. When did we last hear a message about wrongdoing, about honesty, about rational thought as a sacred tool? Not lately. Because today's church is shaped by those who prioritize emotional reactions over divine standards, fearing disapproval from women more than judgment from above. The sacred space now honors emotion above all. And what's been sacrificed, reality itself. At the University of Toronto, a gathering meant to address men's mental health was abruptly canceled after a feminist student argued that talking about male pain supports harmful male norms. Let that settle in. Men are dying by suicide at nearly 4 times the rate of women, nearly 4 times, and the academic world responds by shutting down conversation. Not support, not empathy, not even basic acknowledgement, just silence. Because recognizing male struggle is now seen as backing a harmful system, as reinforcing oppressive male dominance. This is twisted logic. Suffering is no longer seen as personal or medical, it's treated as political ideology. When a man feels despair, he's told to examine his advantages. When he feels rage, he's labeled dangerous. When he stays quiet, he's accused of withholding. There's no way out. The second he speaks up, he's charged with acting out outdated male roles. The second he stays silent, he's called immature. Feminism has turned speech into a tool to condemn male identity. And the institutions created by Western civilization, universities, courts, media, have folded without resistance. They've passed control to women and the men who back them, who now run a belief system where reason is seen as betrayal. Feminism is not about equality. It never was. It's a totalitarian ideology masquerading as justice. Its core doctrine, lived experience, trumps objective reality. That's not philosophy, that's psychosis. If I say 2 + 2 = 4 and a woman says, my lived experience tells me it's 5, feminism demands we respect her truth. In family court, this plays out daily. A woman claims her ex-husband is abusive because he forgot their anniversary. He loses custody. Why? Because her feelings are evidence. His bank records, text messages, witness testimony, none of it matters. Her emotional narrative overrides all. In the UK, 72% of fathers lose custody in contested cases. 72%. In the US, 80% of child support orders are enforced against men, while women default at twice the rate and face zero consequences. The system isn't broken. It's designed this way. It serves women. It punishes men. And it calls it justice. This isn't equality. This is rule by uterus. The feminist lexicon is a weapon of mass deception. Words have been corrupted beyond recognition. Abuse now means didn't text back fast enough. Gaslighting means disagreed with her. Harassment means looked at her. I once saw a woman file a police report because her boyfriend sighed during an argument. Sighed. The police came. He was questioned. This is not satire. This is reality. And the police, they're trained to side with women. In domestic disputes, men are arrested at 3 times the rate of women, even when they're the victims. A study by the DOJ found that in 93% of dual arrest cases, the man was the one taken to jail, even when he called 911 to report abuse. The law doesn't protect men. It protects women, even when they're lying. Even when they're violent, even when they're faking. The system rewards female deception. It incentivizes false accusations, and men are left defenseless. Schopenhauer knew the truth. Women are not built for abstract reasoning. They're built for propagation and preservation. That's not misogyny, that's biology. He didn't hate women, he observed them. And he saw that their primary mode of operation is emotional, not logical. They don't seek truth, they seek advantage. They don't debate, they shame. They don't argue, they guilt trip. And society, once grounded in logic, now bows to this emotional tyranny. The trivium grammar, logic, rhetoric is dead, replaced by tears, tantrums, and trauma dumping. When men use logic, they're accused of coldness. When women use emotion, it's authenticity. When a man presents data on female infidelity, which sits at 22% in long-term relationships, rising to 40% in high SMV circles, he's labeled a misogynist. When a woman says all men are pigs, it's speaking her truth. This double standard isn't accidental. It's engineered. It's how the genocracy maintains power. And don't even get me started on the tone argument. You know the game. You present facts, data, logic, solid, irrefutable arguments, and the response is, you're too angry. Suddenly your tone is the issue, not the truth, not the evidence, not the 60,000 men who kill themselves every year globally. No, your tone is toxic. But when a woman screams on stage about toxic masculinity, it's passionate. When she cries in court, it's courageous. When she calls men pigs or rapists or deadbats, it's empowerment. But if a man raises his voice even slightly, he's dangerous. He needs to be silenced. This isn't about civility. It's about control. Anger in men is policed. Anger in women is celebrated. Why? Because female rage is a weapon of social control. Male anger is a threat to the system. We are living in a civilization that has outsourced truth to emotion, logic to sentiment, and justice to whim. The West, the builder of cathedrals, the discoverer of calculus, the defender of liberty, is now governed by the same principles as a high school girls' clique: gossip, shaming, and exclusion, and men. Men are expected to kneel, apologize, and pay. Pay in money, in custody, in silence, in shame. But the red pill is this: truth exists. It is not fluid. It is not negotiable. It is not her truth or your truth. There is the truth, and it is found in logic, in evidence, in reason, the tools forged by the greatest minds of Western civilization. Use them, speak them, defend them, or watch as the genocracy burns everything we built to the ground. I saw Dan a year after the breakup. He was thinner, harder, quiet. No more astrology workshops. No more apologizing for existing. He'd read Schopenhauer, started lifting, launched a side hustle, doing tax prep for tradesmen who hated accountants but trusted a guy who could deadlift 400 pounds. That's when it hit me. Men aren't broken by hardship. We're broken by false hope. Feminism sold us a lie, that love, loyalty, and respect could be earned through service. But nature knows better. Women don't respect service. They respect sovereignty. They don't want a partner who pleases. They want a man who leads, who stands unshaken, who builds something so undeniable that walking away would be a loss to her, not him. The reawakening of man virtue, hierarchy, and the restoration of the West. Most men are sheep. Nietzsche wrote, and the sheep have a way of turning the strongest among them into a ram. He was right. I once met a man, let's call him Dan, who spent 10 years of his life trying to be the perfect boyfriend. He cooked, he cleaned, he listened. He apologized when she was angry, even when he'd done nothing wrong. He bought flowers, he planned dates. He even attended her astrology workshops, nodding seriously as some woman in a moonstone pendant explained how Venus was in retrograde, and that's why he needed to release his inner child. Dan made $6,500 a year as a mid-level accountant. Then one day, his girlfriend of 8 years dumped him over text for a personal trainer who drove a Tesla and had 800,000 followers on Instagram. She later admitted to sleeping with him during their relationship. Dan didn't know it then, but he was part of the 20 to 25% of men in the West who are unknowingly raising children that aren't genetically theirs. Cuckoldry isn't a meme, it's a national epidemic, and feminism didn't expose it. It enabled it by shifting all responsibility from women onto men, while sanctifying female emotion as infallible truth. You think I'm exaggerating? Look at the data. In family court, fathers win primary custody in only 14% of cases in the US, despite equal parenting laws on paper. Judges, many of them women, routinely side with mothers, even when evidence of maternal alienation or abuse is present. Men are arrested for cyber flashing for commenting nice legs under a woman's TikTok video. In the UK, a man was arrested for joking about Andrew Tate during a pub conversation. The police called it incitement of violence against women. Meanwhile, women commit 60% of school bullying incidents, initiate 70% of divorces, and are more likely to lie in court. Yet the entire legal and social framework treats men as the default aggressors. This isn't justice. This is genocentric totalitarianism disguised as equality. The left calls it progress. I call it poison. Andrew Tate isn't a narcissist. He's a disruptor. When he says top G, he's not bragging. He's declaring war on the cult of female worship that's been sold to weak men for decades. His humor, loud, brash, offensive to the delicate snowflakes, is a tactical weapon. Laughter is the antidote to fear. The left runs on guilt, shame, and silence. Tate laughs in their face, and millions of men laugh with him because they've finally woken up. They've seen the receipts. The 500% increase in male suicide since 1990. The collapse of male enrollment in college. The way Big Pharma pushes antidepressants to boys while letting girls dominate classrooms with emotional manipulation. The system isn't broken, it's working exactly as designed. It rewards female hypergamy and punishes male virtue. Tate's message: stop playing their game, build your own. I know a man, engineer, ex-military, who refused to date until he made $200K a year. Not out of vanity, but strategy. He studied the data. Women's attraction curves spike at income milestones. He built a company, hired other red-pilled men, created a culture of excellence and zero tolerance for victimhood. He married a woman who respected his mission, not one who demanded he work on his emotional availability. They have 4 kids, no TV, no TikTok. The kids read Homer, learn Latin, train in jiu-jitsu. This isn't fantasy. This is praxis. While the average man scrolls through Tinder, chasing dopamine hits from women who will discard him by 35, this man built a dynasty. The West wasn't built by men who sought validation from women. It was built by men who said, I will create something greater than myself. And they did. Jordan Peterson told you to clean your room. Good start. But cleaning your room won't stop the state from taking your children in a divorce. It won't stop HR from firing you for saying biological sex matters. Order is necessary, but it's not enough. You need sovereignty. That means parallel institutions, schools that teach logic over emotional intelligence, churches that preach truth over inclusion, businesses that reward competence, not DEI quotas. The monastery wasn't a retreat. It was a fortress of truth in a collapsing world. Today, we need modern monasteries, all-male co-living spaces, private arbitration networks, independent media. Stefan Molyneux was right. Freedom of association is the most important right of all. You have the right to exclude women who bring chaos, ideologies that destroy, and institutions that betray. This isn't hate. This is self-defense. The Greeks knew it. Arete, excellence, is the purpose of man, not comfort, not safety, not being liked. The greatest civilizations, Rome, Sparta, Athens, Christendom, were built on hierarchy, virtue, and the belief that not all people are equal in value or contribution. Feminism's flat, soulless egalitarianism is a death cult. It tears down excellence in the name of inclusion, then wonders why society collapses. They abolished standards in sports, so now men are beating women in women's events. They abolished standards in education, so now boys fall behind and men stop trying. They abolished standards in marriage, so now 50% of marriages end in divorce, and children grow up emotionally crippled. Greatness requires gatekeepers. The left murdered the gatekeepers and called it liberation. The result: a culture of mediocrity, anxiety, and decay. Men, stop apologizing for being strong, logical, ambitious. The West was not built by sensitive men who cried during rom-coms. It was built by men who faced war, famine, and tyranny and said, "I will endure." They valued duty over desire, truth over comfort, legacy over lust. They didn't ask for permission. They didn't seek approval from women or priests or politicians. They acted, and when they did, they created art, science, law, philosophy, everything that lifts man above the beast. To revive the West, we don't need more therapy. We need virtue. Courage to speak the truth, justice to punish lies, temperance to master desire, prudence to plan for the future. These are not toxic. They are the only things that have ever built lasting civilizations. Everything else is dust. You think she forgot your birthday? No. She remembered her ex's dog's adoption day. She remembered the TikTok star's astrological sign. But you're invisible because you're compliant. And compliance is currency in the genocracy. Every time she accidentally nags you into buying her overpriced oat milk latte, every time she feigns a limp to make you carry her like a medieval damsel who's never touched a squat rack, she's running a biological algorithm refined over 200,000 years. Exploit male care, extract resources, minimize commitment. This isn't quirkiness. It's software running in the background, and you're the unpaid beta tester. I once had a friend, smart PhD in engineering, who defended his wife's lie about a fake miscarriage. She was under stress, he said. Meanwhile, the divorce rate for men who discover false paternity is 97%. The courts side with her. The priest offers her counseling. The internet calls her brave. And him? He's told to heal and reflect on his anger. Yes, because a man who isn't angry when lied to about his own child is either dead or domesticated. Wake up, 1 in 25 men in paternity disputes are not the father. In high conflict relationships, up to 1 in 10. That's not rare, that's systemic cuckoldry. And we've been taught to call it love. The feminist doesn't want equality. She wants sovereignty without accountability. She wants abortion on demand, child support on command, and your silence on the side. She'll cry in court, and the judge will hand her your paycheck and your children. You'll be arrested for contempt if you miss a payment, even if you're homeless. But when she lies, when she weaponizes biology, no trial, no penalty, just applause for her resilience. This is not justice. This is biopolitical warfare. And Foucault was right. Power isn't in the state, it's in the bedroom. You've read this far, good. Now act. Stop funding the machine that grinds men into guilt. Build value. Set standards. Walk away from women who treat your loyalty like a free pass to laziness and deceit. Create brotherhoods. Share truth. Record the lies. Laugh at the absurdity, because when you laugh, you disarm them. They can't gaslight a man who's already seen the script. You are not broken, you are awake. And now, go make something real. And now the sponsored book introduction, gossiping, shaming, and rallying, feminist rug pull poisoning society, bad girls, and literally killing civilization. I never set out to write this book. Like many of you, I watched with growing unease as the world I knew seemed to be slipping away, replaced by a strange new orthodoxy that prized feelings over facts, collective emotion over individual reason. I saw friends lose jobs over poorly chosen words, watched universities turn into echo chambers, and witnessed good men hollowed out by a culture that pathologizes their strengths. What began as private concern became a professional obsession. I had to understand the machinery behind this madness. This book is the result of that search. It's not a polite critique. It's a forensic dismantling of the ideological possession that has hijacked our institutions, our language, and our minds. I trace the roots of what I call the maternal matrix, the repressed, distorted feminine instinct that fuels the left's emotional tyranny, its love of gossip, shaming, and rallying the tribe against imagined enemies. You'll see how this matrix pathologizes masculinity, elevates victimhood, and replaces excellence with equity, truth with therapy, and liberty with control. If you're a man who values logic, honor, and the Western intellectual tradition, if you recognize that something has gone terribly wrong but can't quite articulate how, this book is for you. It will give you the language, the evidence, and the clarity to see through the fog. You'll learn to recognize the rhetorical tricks, the psychological projections, and the bad faith arguments used to silence you. More importantly, you'll regain the confidence to speak and act in accordance with truth, not fear. But if you're content with the prevailing narrative, if you believe that feelings are facts, that men are toxic, and that civilization itself is a problem to be solved, put this book down now, you won't enjoy it. You'll only feel attacked, and frankly, your time would be better spent elsewhere. This isn't for the faint of heart or the true believer. It's for those who still have eyes to see and the courage to use them. What follows is a guided tour through the wreckage and a blueprint for rebuilding. From the gossip engine to the death of truth, from the attack on masculinity to the cult of victimhood, we'll examine each piece of the puzzle. By the end, you won't just understand what's happening. You'll know what to do about it. Gossiping, shaming, and rallying, feminist rug pull poisoning society, bad girls, and literally killing civilization, written by Conrad Riker. Buy now. Links in description.